Welcome history buffs, Latin lovers, and cultural enthusiasts alike. Today we're going to delve into the fascinating origin of Latin culture, heritage, and most importantly of Latin identity itself. Will it surprise you if I tell you, in order for us to truly discover the origins of Latin identity, we'll need to go all the way back to ancient Rome? Right about now, some of you are likely thinking, wait, what? Aren't we going to talk about Latin America? Don't worry, we absolutely will. And we have something special for you. We also have a little something special for the ancient Roman enthusiasts out there too. So let's dive in, shall we? The ancient Romans truly were an iconic civilization that have left an indelible mark on the course of human history. While their conquests are indeed legendary and have been taught in schools throughout the world, the ancient Romans weren't only known for conquests. The Romans themselves had a deep, profound love of philosophy, sport, and art. They had some remarkable architectural achievements as well, achievements that have astoundingly endured for millennia. One example of which is Roman concrete, which, believe it or not, outlasts our modern concrete by centuries. And interestingly, the way it was made isn't entirely understood by us today. The Romans were also widely known for their sophistication, intellect, and their distinctive, unique culture. Granted, this is all fairly common knowledge today, but it's really just a small part of their story. Are you wondering? What do I mean? Did you know that the ancient Romans were, in fact, the original Latins, or Latini in the Italian language itself? It's true, the word Latin was first used to describe the people of ancient Rome and their Roman descendants exclusively. And no, Latin wasn't only a reference to the language they spoke, it was in fact their cultural identity as well. The ancient Romans were known for their conquests, and for some is the first thing people may think of. However, they were also known for their love of life, la dolce vita, which was expressed through their language, food, music, arts, passion, and through their iconic familial bonds. These are, in fact, the fundamental defining characteristics that have remained a cornerstone of Latin culture today. To be Latin referred to the people that were exclusively from Latium, which today is known as Lazio. Latium was initially considered the area around the Alban Hills. It then expanded south of the Tiber River to Mount Circio. The region of Lazio is in present-day Italy and borders both Abruzzo and Umbria. So when we talk about Latin culture, we're actually referring to a culture that was born in the heart of Italy and brought into existence by the ancient Romans. The influence of their vibrant culture hasn't stopped at the borders of what is modern-day Italy. As the Roman Empire expanded, it also spread its Latin culture, language, and their way of life across Europe into North Africa and even into much of the Middle East. We have different Latin-based languages today because the language people spoke and the culture in the former areas of the Roman Empire have evolved differently. The reason they've evolved differently is because of the collapse of the unifying authority of Rome. These are completely distinct languages today, languages that are often now referred to as Romance languages. Keep in mind, the very description itself of romance, in this specific context, is referring to the ancient Roman origin, and not the relationship of love meaning we're all more familiar with. Ancient Rome was in fact the dawn of the Latin culture as we know it, a rich, diverse mosaic of traditions, values, and languages that spans continents and over 2,000 years of our history. If you'd like to delve deeper to appreciate and fully understand the history of Rome itself, you should consider studying the origins of the ancient tribes of central Italy, tribes that included the Volsci, the Vestini, and of course, the Latini. So now that we know Latin identity was actually born in Italy, it's probably a good time to explore how the term Latin, a term that defined people that flourished throughout the Mediterranean, traveled halfway across the globe and went on to be adopted in the New World. As world knowledge expanded, so did Latin culture, crossing oceans and continents. A crucial chapter in this journey was the voyage across the Atlantic. This was a time of exploration and discovery, fueled by a desire for adventure, new beginnings, and of course, the search for wealth. However, it was more than simply a physical journey. It was also a cultural voyage, one which was a process of exchange and transformation. The Latin culture, with its roots in ancient Rome, had flourished across Europe, starting in what today is modern Italy, then spreading to Spain, Portugal, France, and throughout the Mediterranean. These countries, bound by their common Latin heritage, were the starting points of the great journey to the New World. Their journey was dangerous and full of uncertainty, yet this didn't deter the explorers. They were driven by their desire for expansion and the determination to spread their religion and culture. As they landed on the shores of the Americas, they encountered diverse indigenous cultures that until that moment had been previously unknown to them. This was a meeting of worlds, a clash that would become a fusion of cultures. The Latin culture, with its language, religion, and social customs, started to permeate the indigenous societies. Over time, through both conflict and through peaceful interactions alike, the culture spread and was adopted by an entirely new region. The Latin culture hasn't only spread, it has also evolved and continues to evolve today. This is a fusion of the Latin and indigenous, creating a unique, vibrant cultural all its own. Not only the culture, but the language of ancient Rome itself that birthed the languages of Italy, Portugal, France, Romania, and Spain, that is transformed into the dialects spoken in Latin America today. Thus, the Latin identity itself has spread and found another home in the Americas. So, how did the term Latino come to be what it is today? The word Latino is derived from the Spanish language itself. It means a person that's Latin. That's it, really. It doesn't have a separate meaning that excludes Roman descendants, as many people today wrongfully believe. Ironically, even many dictionaries get this simple fact wrong. Latino may also be used specifically to mean a Latin male, whereas Latina is specific to a Latin female. But how did this term gain widespread acceptance? That's where Frank Del Olmo comes into the picture. He believed that the term Hispanic, which was widely used at the time, didn't fully capture or adequately reflect all of the Latin American communities. As already mentioned, Frank Del Olmo, who was an Emmy Award-winning and Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, played a pivotal role in shaping the term Latino. Born in Los Angeles in 1948, Del Olmo's influence extended far beyond his role as a journalist. He was also a passionate cultural advocate who helped bridge gaps and create a sense of unity among diverse Central and South American communities. In the 1970s, Del Olmo recognized the need for a term that could encompass the various backgrounds and cultures of the Spanish-speaking population in the United States. The existing terms such as Chicano or Cuban American, he felt were also too specific and didn't encompass the entire Hispanic community experience. Del Olmo, with his keen insight and commitment to fostering a sense of unity and shared cultural values, was integral in popularizing the term Latino. As already mentioned, he felt that the term Hispanic didn't adequately capture the rich cultural diversity of the various Spanish-speaking communities in the U.S. That's because it implied a connection to Spain, and he felt that was too narrow a description of the people. He believed that the term Latino allowed for a broader umbrella that could bring together people of different national origins, ethnicities, and cultural backgrounds. His goal was to create a term that could serve as a unifying force, fostering a sense of shared identity among individuals with roots in South and Central America. The term Hispanics, after all, was in fact a direct reference and acknowledgement to Spain. Whereas many in South America also have significant influence from Portugal and Italy. Brazil, for example, speaks Portuguese, not Spanish, and in Argentina nearly half of the population have Italian heritage. Del Olmo believed that by adopting a shared identity, Hispanics could amplify their collective voice and advocate for common goals. In fact, without Frank Del Olmo's influence, it's likely that the term Latino would never have caught on. Del Olmo's legacy goes well beyond coining a term. He championed a spirit of unity that encouraged individuals from various backgrounds to come together and celebrate a shared heritage, while at the same time appreciate the unique contributions of each culture. Through his work as an influential journalist, including his tenure at the Los Angeles Times, Del Olmo's efforts were vital in spreading the usage of the term Latino to mainstream audiences, and also for the term to become commonly accepted. His passion for his cause and engaging approach to cultural identity inspired future generations to embrace the term Latino. And embrace it they did, with deep pride and a strong sense of mutual purpose. Today, Latino identity is an identity that transcends borders and fosters an intensely strong sense of cultural pride. Frank Del Olmo's impact on the cultural landscape serves as a reminder to us all of the positive influence one single person can have in shaping, unifying, and in transforming communities. Something else to keep in mind is the concept of there being a Latin America, and the actual term itself first came into use in the mid-19th century. While Del Olmo led the way for Latino to become the primary term used, and for the term to gain widespread popularity, the idea was introduced by the French, who were in competition at the time with the British over territory in the New World. They used the term Latin America to emphasize a shared Latin background, one that was shared with France itself. By doing so, they believed they would foster a sense of unity and loyalty, thereby giving France the edge over the British. The first reference to there being a Latin ethnic identity in the Americas came in the 1830s from Michel Chevalier, who was a French economist. A few decades later, the term Latin America appeared in writing for the first time during a conference held in Paris by Chilean politician Francisco Bilbao. The Chilean politician also sought to distance his people from Spain and foster a connection with France. However, the adoption of term Latino that Del Olmo advocated for wasn't universally accepted at the time. There were those, for example, within the Mexican and Cuban communities that were vehemently opposed to the term. With the term being as mainstream as it is today, you're probably wondering why? Well, it's because they didn't want to be lumped together under a singular, all-encompassing identity. Let's take just a moment and go a little deeper. The Mexican and Cuban cultures, like all cultures, are unique, rich in history and tradition. Many believe that the term Latino diluted their individual identities, reducing them to a generic, homogenized group. To them, the term was an oversimplification of their diverse and distinct cultures. Their concerns weren't without merit. After all, the term Latino was being used as an umbrella term to encompass a vast array of ethnicities, cultures, traditions, and histories from a multitude of countries. This oversimplification risked erasing the unique identities of each culture under this umbrella. The opponents feared that their individual cultural heritage would be lost in the sea of Latino identity. They wanted to preserve their rich cultural identities, not be absorbed into a broader, less defined group. Yet, the resistance to the term Latino wasn't universal. Many embraced it, seeing it as a unifying term, a collective identity that could be used to highlight shared experiences and struggles. However, one thing is certain: the term Latino cannot be applied without first acknowledging the diverse people it encompasses. It turned out the term Latino wasn't always considered a one-size-fits-all expression. It was a term that needed to respect and highlight the vibrant cultural mosaic it represented. The debate over Latino and Hispanic identity wasn't just a question of semantics. It was a reflection of the complex, multifaceted nature of identity itself. It shows us that identity isn't simply a monolith that's devoid of uniqueness. This serves as a reminder that within any term, any label, there's a world of individual stories and distinctive identities. So, while we may use these terms, we cannot dismiss individuality by simply lumping all people into narrow boxes. Despite our differences, there's a shared heritage that unites all who identify as Latin. That's the beauty of the Latin identity. It's a vibrant tapestry woven from threads of shared culture, language, and values. The Latin language, the mother tongue of the ancient Romans, has shaped the languages spoken across Latin America and Europe today. Whether it's Spanish, Portuguese, French, or Italian, they are all rooted in this same ancient language, a testament to the enduring influence of Rome. This shared linguistic heritage not only unites Latin people, but also forms the backbone of our cultural identity. Religion is often another common and important thread. From the grandeur of the Vatican in Italy to the fervent religious processions in Mexico, the influence and importance of Catholicism is unmistakable throughout the Latin world. This shared faith has profoundly shaped societal norms, influenced art and music, and given rise to a myriad of traditions and festivals. Cultural practices, too, are what undeniably unite the Latin world. The utmost importance of family, the value of honor, being intensely passionate with our romantic partners, the music that touches our soul, the desire in our blood to express ourselves through dance, also in our love of art, and of course, the love of our regional foods that we take great personal pride in. These are the shared values that make up our Latin identity. Whether it's a family gathering in an Italian village near the Amalfi Coast, or a vibrant street party in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the joy of life and the importance of community are fundamental. Yet, while these shared aspects help to define the Latin identity, they don't diminish the unique characteristics of each Latin culture. It's our diversity, but not diversity alone. Diversity with our shared cultural values, that is our strength. It's our blended heritage, mosaic of different histories, our old world traditions, and our individual experiences that makes the Latin world so exciting and captivating. So, let's celebrate our shared Latin identity together. Let's revel in the rich tapestry of language, religion, and culture that binds us. Let's honor the unique stories of each Latin culture while recognizing the common threads that weave us into one overall vibrant community. So, whether in Rome or Rio, there's commonality in culture running through the entire Latin world. And it's this shared heritage, this shared Latin identity, that makes us who we are. Let's circle back to where we started our journey, shall we? As we've journeyed through the intricate and rich tapestry of Latin culture and identity, we've made several stops. From the grandeur of ancient Europe, across the vastness of the Atlantic, to the varied, spectacular landscapes of Latin America. But now we return to our roots, to Italy, the cradle of the Latin culture itself. The Latin identity, a term so widely adopted in the Americas, actually has its roots deep in the heart of Italy, in a region that was known as Latium, where Rome, the city of 7 hills, was founded. To this very day, the Latin identity remains an integral part of Italian heritage and cultural identity. The echoes of the past resonate in the present, in the beautiful rhythm of Italian language, in the delicious regional Italian cuisines, in world-famous Italian art and fashion. Italians are in fact the original Latins. From colorful debates in the piazzas to famously passionate Latin lovers and unwavering dedication to family, Italians encompass the very foundation of the Latin culture itself. Italian culture, like its Latin American counterparts, is a vibrant blend of history and modernity. It's a culture that celebrates its Latin roots while continually evolving. From the creation of the Roman Republic to the birth of the Renaissance, Italy has always been a beacon of innovation and change, a testament to the enduring and adaptable spirit of the Latin identity. The term Latino may have found a new home in the Americas, but its origins, its heart, will always also beat in Italy. It's a shared identity, not a replacement, and is an identity that transcends geographic boundaries. Whether you're savoring tapas in Barcelona, dancing the tango in Buenos Aires, or exploring the ancient ruins of Rome, you're part of a rich and diverse culture that spans continents and centuries. So always remember that from Rome to Buenos Aires, the Latin identity isn't only alive and well, it's thriving. It's a testament to our shared past, a symbol of our interconnected present, and a bridge to a future where we continue to celebrate and embrace our shared heritage. Before we end our journey, let's go over a short summary recap. Latinos, Latins, and Latini are simply words from different languages that have the exact same meaning and not different meanings. On our journey, we've traveled through time to retrace the roots of Latin culture and identity. We began our adventure in ancient Rome, where the original Latins resided. From there, we sailed across the Atlantic, witnessing the spread of Latin culture to the Americas. We observed the emergence of the term Latino, a label that has since been embraced by many in Latin America thanks to the efforts of essential figures like Frank Delmo. Yet, we also touched on the debates that this term sparked among various groups, including many Mexicans and Cubans who resisted being lumped together under a singular, all-encompassing identity. We then returned to Italy to recognize the enduring deep connection between Italians and the Latin identity their ancestors brought into existence. Lastly, we remind ourselves of our shared Latin identity, which is a tapestry woven with threads from across the globe, each adding its own unique color and texture. Your views are welcome here, whether you agree or disagree. What are your thoughts? What does being Latin mean to you, and why do you feel the way you do? Thank you for joining us on this eye-opening historic journey. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more great content.